like I said to you the other day, this whole situation with the Pgmol is a disgrace. And it's taken people like Robbie Fowler in his column, I think it was in the Mirror. People like Frank LeBoeuf and people like, who else was on there? Shaka Hislop. And I can't remember who else was on that ESPN show in America to actually have a backbone and call out the Pgmol. Oh, and while we're talking about the Pgmol, the gift that keeps on giving, don't worry, they've bestowed a gift upon us for this weekend. Your officials, ladies and gentlemen, for Liverpool against Brighton at Anfield on Sunday are as follows. Referee, David Coote. VAR operator, Paul Tierney. Now, I looked at the Daily Mirror for this announcement, and the Daily Mirror's headline was, again, almost goading that the Premier League or the Pgmol are trying to go out of their way to make Liverpool annoyed about this. Why is it that we can't seem to go a game week or two without having Coote and or Tierney somewhere in the process? And they both have form for shafting Liverpool. Let me just give you a bit of background for those of you who maybe aren't as up to date on the refereeing situation as some of us are. They have form for shafting Liverpool and Liverpool fans. And I'm going to read some of that out to you now. This article that I've pulled said, it's tricky because the Pgmol, who are in charge of referees in the top flight, have announced their appointments for this weekend's games. The referee for Liverpool's match will be David Coote, while Paul Tierney will be on VAR and Dan Cook, the assistant VAR. Here's the part that's important. All three have had run-ins with Klopp and Liverpool over previous seasons. Coote was the man in the middle when Liverpool drew with title rivals Arsenal in December, controversially failing to award a penalty for a handball against Martin Odegaard. He was also stood down for a match day back in 2012 when, as VAR, he failed to punish Jordan Pickford for his horror tackle on Virgil van Dijk, which resulted in the Dutchman having a ruptured ACL, and Klopp was furious. It stinks. It stinks, lads. I mean, come on. It's never ending. They've just shafted us before the break and they want to do it again. So, let me know your thoughts on the refereeing appointments. David Coote as the referee and Paul Tierney on VAR. What could possibly go wrong? But if you guys haven't seen that ESPN clip yet, it was Craig Burley actually, that's what it was. Go and watch it because they call out Howard Webb very, very strongly. In fact, they went as far as to say if Howard Webb came into the studio, they'd wipe the floor with him. And then Robbie Fowler on his latest piece as well was talking about the fact that Howard Webb is expecting us to see things with our own eyes and accept his nonsense explanation of it, even though it doesn't make any sense. So this to me needs to come to a head, and I keep going on about it, but we need to come together and sort this out because we cannot keep getting shafted. They're not even trying anymore. They're not even trying to hide it. Like, here you go, here's Coote, here's Tierney, enjoy. Why wasn't Pickford punished, said Mohammed. Well, Mohammed, I guess the correct answer to that I'd have to give you is because it was missed somehow by the VAR official who was looking to see whether, I don't know, it was a penalty or there was an offside. But yeah, it's disgusting, mate. And Coote has been at the heart of this. Coote and Tierney are the two biggest culprits when it comes to shafting us, in my opinion. Whether that's the handball of Odegaard that wasn't given, whether that's the situation before the international break at Manchester United again. It just never ending. It's ridiculous. And they don't seem to... The Premier League don't seem to care about the situation, let's say. I have to be so careful when I talk about these things because, of course, I don't want to land myself and the channel in trouble. What a sad excuse. The refs are a joke, said Darkness03. It almost feels to me like Liverpool will have to win the league in spite of the Pgmol. So it feels like we go into every game where these lads are appointed and we're playing against 12 men. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that the referee is intentionally trying to favour the teams we're playing, but I'm kind of getting the feeling that they are intentionally trying to shaft us. And I will draw your attention again to the incident with Doku and Alexis McAllister, where the VAR official, Stuart Atwell, said both come in high. No, they didn't. And nobody challenged. Michael Owen on Mic'd Up didn't have the balls to challenge Howard Webb. Didn't have the balls to say to him, Howard, your VAR operator there said both go in high. They don't. Your VAR operator said Doku gets there to the ball first. He doesn't. The whole thing is a farce. And I'm so grateful that we have the likes of Robbie Fowler and that we have those ESPN pundits, because the pundits in England, your Gary Nevilles, your Jamie Carragher's, your Redknapp's, your Mika Richards, your Roy Keane's, none of them have the backbone. Or they don't want to call that out. But their game's been destroyed and we're watching on. Well, these referees are making decisions that have huge consequences and they haven't got a backbone to speak up. And they have a cheek to often look down their noses at fan content creators. It's a joke. They're all cowards, a lot of them. They should hang their heads in shame. They profess to love the football as a sport and don't give a damn about it because they haven't got the courage to speak up. They know what they're seeing. You know what you're seeing. But Howard Webb keeps trying to tell us all that what we're seeing with our own eyes isn't actually true. And that if we don't own, to paraphrase what Robbie Fowler said, if we don't own a referee's whistle or a VAR monitor, that we somehow have no understanding of what happens in the game. Come on now. Anyway, let's not spend too much longer on the refs because I'm done talking about them, but it's never ending. We keep getting told we're reading too much into it, said Adam Cooper. We do, but we aren't. So here's the thing, Adam, like I always say. The more people say to us, never your fault, always the victims, salty, all that type of stuff. The more they say that to us, the more they're giving fuel to the PGMOL. Because unless everybody says this is unacceptable for all of the decisions, regardless of their club allegiances, they're just going to feel more emboldened to keep doing it. It's a joke. And it's putting the integrity of the league in even more question when, let's be honest, it's not looking great at the minute. Everton facing a possible second points deduction, Forest appealing their points deduction, Leicester knowing they probably have another points deduction or a points deduction coming if they get back to the Premier League, Chelsea potentially having a lot of questions to answer about their past financial dealings under Abramovich, and that's before we even get into 115 FC. It's not a good look for football. It's looking grubbier and grubbier and grubbier. And if you add in the refereeing situation to it, the question is there any integrity left in the English game? Spurs mess up was a joke, but the handball versus Arsenal and the tackle of McAllister were worse for me, as their explanation was ridiculous. So I agree with you, Canters, because I think the situation with Diaz, I can understand that being an error of communication. I'm open to that being a human error. But the rest of them, as you've said, that handball and the Doku challenge, the key for me in that, Canters, is that neither of them asked the ref to go to the monitor. And that told me everything.